Hello, my name is Tyler Sussman, and we are broadcasting here for the Summit Basecamp program. Welcome to our student panel. We have gathered here students from current Basecamp schools across the United States in order to share with you a little bit about what their experiences as a student in Summit Basecamp are. So for those of you who don't have a lot of familiarity with the program, Summit Basecamp is a free program that provides teachers and schools around the country with the tools and resources that they need in order to personalize learning for their students. To share today, we have gathered 4 students from our current schools, and I'm going to lead them through a series of questions to help them share their experiences, and then we'll be open to take questions from the audience as well. As audience members, please submit any questions that you have using the chat interface directly under this video, and we'll be happy to cover them and get you some answers from students who are currently engaged in the program. So to start off with introductions, if I could have the 4 of you please introduce who you are, what grade you're in, what school you attend, and what city and state that school is in. Jonas, if you want to start, I'll call out names as we go.
All right. I am Jonas. I'm 9th grade. I go to Research Triangle High School in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Thank you, Jonas. And over to Sherilyn. Do you want to start at UPA, and we'll do both of you?
Me? Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Charlene. I'm in 6th grade. I live in Oakland, California.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm next?
Yes.
My name is Richini, and I go to Urban Promise Academy. I'm in the 6th grade, and I'm in Oakland, California.
Thank you. And Quinn, can you close us off?
I'm Quinn Gabino. I'm from Pasadena, Texas, and I go to Dobie High School in 9th grade.
Thank you, Quinn. All right. As we begin, I'm going to ask some overview questions, and then we'll dive into different topics that help our students explain what it's like to be a student at a school that's part of the Summit Basecamp program. As a reminder, audience members, please feel free to ask questions for our panel. As soon as we get through these moderator questions, we would love to interact with you as an audience and hear the questions that you have for our students. All right. Starting off, students, the first question is, how is the work that you do at school this year different from schoolwork that you've done in the past? And for logistics, guys, if you want to be the person who answers the question, if you raise your hand, I'll be able to direct it towards you. So once again, that first question is, how is the work that you do at school this year different from schoolwork you have done in the past? Who would like to start us out? All right, Jonas, thank you.
Well, I feel like this year it's really you learning instead of the class. Like, I feel like that's the biggest difference, is that it's more attuned to your skills. If you want to dive into the basics just enough to pass something, you can, but if you feel really engaged in something, you can go all out, while like other schools, basically it just goes to the class, and if you have to organize like a meeting with a teacher, if you want to go extreme in depth, where this one they give you resources and you can really go in depth in every single thing just on the PLP, and if you want to go farther, then the sky's the limit.
Thank you, Jonas. And to clarify for our audience, the PLP is the Personalized Learning Plan platform. It is a software platform that enables some of the work we do at our Summit Basecamp schools and lets students work at their own pace through content and access resources for their projects. Thanks, Jonas. Ladies at UPA, Charlene and Rachni, can you guys share how, for you, school is different than schoolwork you've done in the past this year?
It has been different because I get to learn at my own speed. Also, it's, as Jonas said, that like we could go to the basics and yeah, get ahead. Like, so POP is much different from the work I have because from elementary, because the works that we did, we learned as the whole class, and some kids don't understand it, which and some other kids do. So those kids could learn on the basics, and the others that actually do get it could go more harder.
Thank you.
I agree with Jonas and Sherlyn because the POP, it does give you like your own personal space, and it's like if you want to work on something that's really challenging for you, you can go right ahead and take it, or something that you feel like you're ready to pass already and you don't really need to study for it, you can just go ahead and take it, and it's like it gives you your own speed, and like you don't really have to, not that teachers, when they talk, sometimes it gets boring. It's just that you don't really have to hear them talk about it, and when other kids they have question, you have to stop and then wait for them, and then you won't have to you have to wait for the learning process to keep going. And but then like with the POP, you have your own time, your own speed, your own limit, and like yeah, you just have your own personal space basically.
Thank you. And Quinn, how has it been different for you this year?
I don't have to wait for people to do stuff, and you it's more challenging. You have to you're not spoon-fed the answers. You have to work to get to where you are.
Nice. Thank you. All right. At this point, we're going to dive into a few questions that help to illustrate different components of the personalized learning model that schools utilize through the Summit Basecamp program. So to talk a little bit about that model, there's 3 core elements to the program. And the first one is cognitive skill instruction through project-based learning experiences. So students in the Summit Basecamp program are always engaging in a series of projects in their different classes, and those projects are opportunities for them to demonstrate growth in transferable cognitive skills. So the cognitive skill rubric, there's one rubric, 36 skills, that is used to assess all of the different projects students do, and they're constantly trying to grow and improve their scores and their ability in those different transferable skills. Those are things such as modeling or explanation of evidence or asking questions or organizing an essay, those different pieces. That's what we'll talk about first. After that, we'll talk a little bit about content acquisition. In the Summit Basecamp program, students progress through content in a competency-based progression, meaning they're able to, on demand, move through content areas and request the mastery assessments, which we call content assessments, for those focus areas, and move at their own pace, as quickly or as slowly as they need to, depending on their personal needs. And finally, we'll close the call talking a little bit about the mentor program that's part of the Summit Basecamp program. And that is every student that is a part of this program receives one-on-one mentorship from a teacher at their school site that helps them to think about goals they're setting, that helps them reflect on their progress, helps them break down long-term goals into year-long goals and daily actions and behaviors. So we'll cover all 3 areas. We're going to start off with project-based learning and growth in cognitive skills. And my question for our panelists is, what has been a favorite project of yours this year and why? And as we go into that, I want to know a little bit about what the cognitive skills you were working on in that project. What were they? So starting off, what has been a favorite project of yours this year and why? Ladies from UPA, would you like to start?
Can I have a little bit more time for thinking? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Would anyone else like to start us off?
I'll start it.
Okay, thank you.
Probably my favorite project was the one we were doing right now, the DNA structure lab, because we're doing a lot of labs, and this one hands-on labs, and some cognitive skills we're working on during it are hypothesizing, I'm I'm sorry.
You're okay. Tell us a little bit more about the hypothesis. So it sounds like you're just working on that project now, and so
Yes.
far you've been doing hypothesizing. Tell us a little bit more about that skill. What does hypothesizing look like in that project?
You make an it's your opinion on what's gonna happen whenever you on whatever you're doing. So, and we're doing that because we're taking DNA out of strawberries and fish, and trying to show we're trying to see what we think compared to what's actually going to happen.
Awesome. That sounds fun. Thank you, Quinn. Other responses from our panelists? What has a favorite project of yours been this year and why? And what are the cognitive skills or some of the cognitive skills for that project?
I think I would like to take the chance.
Go for it.
My favorite project was the Otter Pop Challenge, that we have to make a design to keep to keep our Otter Pops cold frozen, or if you want, you can melt it. But you have to use specific objects to make it stay the same temperature, or make it lose temperature. So I liked it because it was really a chance to show what we had of ideas, and how we would like to do it, and make it creative. Um, the cognitive skills that we were working on: modeling, discussion, um, explanation, justification. Um, yeah, I really liked all those because the ones that you did good on that make you feel proud of yourself, and all the effort that you put on yourself. The ones that you did bad, you know that you can improve. Then later, when you do another project, you could feel proud of yourself again.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question about those skills. Of the ones that you listed there, what is the one that you need to work on the most? Like, now that you've taken the project and gotten some feedback from your teacher, what is the one where you want to grow the most later in the year when you have another chance?
Well, right now in math, I'm doing really well. It's only in history that in modeling I'm not that good, because sometimes I slack off, but then I go back on doing my work. But it's sometimes that because the whole class is my friend, like I'm good with them and all, and they always try to make me laugh.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what the skill of modeling is? Like, what do you do when you're trying to model?
What you do is so you have to be a good listener. You have to participate, which is like norms in active listening. Modeling, you have to stay on task. Um, what else? Not playing around.
Okay.
Yeah, those types of
You have to
things.
be on task to make a good model and to model good behavior.
Yeah.
All right. I want to move on to the next question, and that is diving a little bit further into that last question, actually, that I asked. Is there a cognitive skill that you've been working on to grow your ability or your score in? So is there one that you really want to grow your score in based on the feedback you've received so far? And what do you need to do to improve with that skill? So it can come from any of your projects. Is there a skill that you need to work on as a student right now? And if so, what? I'll look for hands in terms of who wants to respond to this one.
I already went, so.
Mm-hmm. Jonas, do you have a skill that you're working on?
Because I didn't always like to go up and talk to in front of a large group, and I definitely started working on that and trying to get a better vocabulary, better eye contact, and starting to delve deep into the material so I can make a good presentation. And I feel like that's really evolved over the course of this year. And that's something I've definitely been trying to work toward.
Thank you, Jonas. Quinn, is there any skills that you're working on right now in class?
Word choice for English. My word choice isn't the best, but it's been getting better throughout the year. Uh, it's I've been getting low grades with that, and I've been studying more, focusing on that in English, and I've progressed over the year so far.
Thank you, Quinn. All right, we're going to move on to content, then mentoring, and then we'll field some of those audience questions. Please continue to ask those audience. Very helpful, and we're happy to have this this panel of students here to respond to some of your wonderings. So diving into content, guys, what's it like to learn? What is it like to learn content through a focus area? How has that experience been for you this year? What does it feel like? Do you enjoy it? Like all of those sort of rolled into one. I'll look for hands. The question is, once again, what is it like to learn using the focus areas in the PLP? All right, I'm going to go to Upa, and then I'll go to Quinn.
It's been good using the PLP because the content assessments, we take our own notes. We learn on what we want to learn. Okay, so get this content assessment, and then you take these specific notes, and not like what the teacher says. And if you don't really get it, then it is going to be an important part of the test. But you should also learn little bit by little bit, step by step, so you can understand it more better, and not just do it. Because and once you take a test last year, it stayed like that. And here we actually get to take it again to prove that we have increased our knowledge.
Perfect. Thank you. And Quinn?
I like how you have many different resources to use while you're taking notes for your test, and the tests aren't as long as usual. And like they said, the tests aren't, if you fail it, you're not stuck with that grade. You can go back and take it as many times as you need to get the best grade you can. So.
Thank you. And Jonas?
I think one of the big ones is that other schools, this sort of goes back into the first question, if you like fail a quiz or fail a test, that's it. It's kind of over. But now with the PLP, or like you just explained it, these new little quizzes, it's not like you didn't understand the first time, so you fail and we move on. It's you didn't understand, so how can you learn from your mistakes and build that up? And I feel like that's a really important thing for kids, because in other schools they may fail a test and they're like, well, we're moving forward, so I can't look back to learn on my mistakes. But in this one, you're supposed to, and you're supposed to see how you can improve.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Thank you. And a follow-up question from my list, and then this actually mirrors a couple that are coming in from our audience as well. And once again, audience, please continue to ask those. Thank you. As soon as we finish these, we're going to shift over and start fielding some of those questions. And that is, while you're working on the focus areas, guys, while you're working on learning content, what is your teacher doing? And how do they use that time to support you? I'll look for hands. Okay.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, while you're working on learning the focus areas or the playlists, what is your teacher doing?
Oh, well, my teacher, what she does with everyone in the class, if you don't get it, she helps you on what you don't need. So if you took it twice, okay, you got 3 out of 3 on this, you got 4 out of 4 on this. So the only thing that you still can't get right is this specific topic. You work on it, she helps you, and she gives you some papers to fill in to make sure that you are increasing on what you have learned about that topic.
And, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I agree with Sherlyn because with my teacher, she does exactly the same thing. It's like if you have some trouble on a specific objective on the test, she will help you with it. And my teacher, she gives you these websites that have little quizzes about that specific objective, and she will make her own questions for you and see if you still need help on it or you don't need help on it.
And they are always positive, so it's a really good note for us to keep us positive too, not just feel put down.
Yeah, positive teachers always help us. All right, Jonas, we're going to bounce over to you. What is your teacher doing while you guys are working on focus areas?
Well, I feel like our teachers are like a resource in some ways. They're just like all those links they can sometimes send for you to help you learn better. If you can't understand those, you can always help your teacher. But more than that, they can help you expand your knowledge by, like in class, they help you assign these projects and they help you with these, like we said, those oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But those, I'm so sorry. The cognitive skills. I'm sorry, I blanked for a second. But yeah, and they really can just help you expand your knowledge on certain areas.
Perfect. Thank you. I want to take actually a couple of the audience questions, and then we'll dive into the mentor one. The audience is asking a lot of questions that relate right to the conversation we're having right now. The first one that I want to talk about is thinking about what subject you find the most difficult to learn. So if that's history for you, or math, or English, or science, how do you like this approach when you're in that class? So very much think about your hardest subject, the one that's always been the toughest for you, and now think about using this kind of a program in that class like you do now. What's that experience like? Does it work for you?
Can I just speak? Oh, well, history is the difficult, the ones that I don't get that much. Right now, I passed like a week ago. I passed 18 democracy. Took me like a week to pass it. Um, and now that the line is moving, it's like worrying me because then I have to learn more and more and like focus on that and like in math, and I'm already heard of that because I'm really good at math and science, which I really want to use that time to focus on that content assessment that I'm having trouble on, so I could um, uh, be ahead of the line before it actually pressures me.
Can I do a retell just to make sure I understood that? So
Mm,
what I think I heard you saying is that you're able, right now history is harder for you, but
yeah,
since you worked ahead in math and science, you don't need to work there as much. So you're able to sort of decide what you're working on, and you use that time, instead of getting even further ahead in math, you're able to say, okay, no, I need to work on history and spend more time trying to stay caught up in that class as well.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. I'm going to dive into...
Excuse me, I'm just gonna leave the room for a little second because the computer is about to die.
Okay, perfect. Are you going to grab a charger?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to dive back to these questions, and then we'll circle around to audience questions at the end of the session. So I want to dive into mentorship questions. So all of our students, all of the students that participate in the Summit Basecamp program at the schools throughout the United States, the 19 current schools outside of Summit's own campuses that are utilizing the PLP. And all of these students are part of a mentor program. They meet with a teacher mentor for weekly check-ins around their work, and they meet with a mentor group on one day of the week in order to get some specific community activities. So I'm going to ask questions both about that relationship with your mentor and how it's helped you, and also questions about how you've grown as a learner this year, which I think sort of relates to that program. So the first question is around how you've grown as a learner this year. And the question is, have you learned anything new about yourself and your learning style this year? Quinn?
I've learned that I've had the determination to do my work more this year, and it's whenever they're motivating you and helping you check in and see what you have to do, it's helping you get determined to reach your goal for the year.
Thank you, Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Other responses to this question? Have you learned anything new about yourself and your learning style this year?
Okay. Yep. Okay, we're good.
Ladies, would you like to respond to that question? Would either of you? Have you learned anything new about yourself as a learner this year and your learning style?
I really have, because in 5th grade I have been having a little trouble getting a lot of stuff, and I really did wish I could improve on it. And here I actually improved a lot, and that makes me feel really proud of myself and how much I have accomplished.
I've learned that I can learn really fast and at my own speed, because back in elementary school, you would learn with the whole entire class, so it would kind of take forever because your teacher would have to make sure that everyone heard what you said, what she said, and that if anyone had any questions. But then once I started working on by myself with the POP, I noticed that like I don't have to wait for anyone to ask a question or give an answer back. I can just write down what I read or what I heard through a video, and then I'll just be good, and then when I feel ready, I'll just take the test.
Thank you. Jonas, any thoughts on this one?
I sort of felt that I really learned through my mentor that I'm more learning now instead of looking ahead, and I don't know if that's jumping ahead too far, but like I've been thinking a lot of how you pass now. Like I've got this assessment, so how do I pass the next one? I take this one, now how do I pass the next one, instead of looking to how to take these skills with me throughout life. And I feel like my mentors really helped with that. The mentorship program is seeing how you can take these cognitive skills with you instead of just using them to pass one assessment or two.
That makes a lot of sense. So I want to dive further into that question, and I'll put this one out to the whole group. It sounds like that's one way that the conversations with your mentor have been really helpful for you. To the rest of our panelists, do you feel connected to your mentor? How do they support you?
Well, my mentor does support us a whole bunch. She's always positive, always gives us good notes, and always gives us feedback on what we did incorrect.
Okay. Quinn, any thoughts on this?
I do feel more connected to him, and like even stuff that we're doing right, they just keep telling us you can do this to get better with it, even if we're doing good on it, and they're helping us, trying to make us the best that we can be.
Okay, guys, we're going to round off with one last question, and then we're going to switch over to more of the audience questions. The last one that I want to ask you before we dive into theirs is, if you were to transfer to a different school tomorrow, so a different school, different teachers, different students, what lessons would you take with you from your experiences this year? So what do you think, based on the work you've done so far, like what lesson about yourself, what lesson about school, what would really stick with you? Go for it.
I would stick with the things I've learned this year and the things I really do get, and if I actually do move, what I would do is work harder, um, try be more like, yeah, work harder, and sorry,
No,
uh,
that's okay.
yeah, and like get to know everyone and how far they have gotten, and if they could give me feedback on what they could show me what I could do better.
Those are three great things. So work hard, meet other people, and ask for feedback. I think that's a great start. Other thoughts from our student panelists?
The cognitive that I would take with me if I were going to another school tomorrow, I would take with me discussion and contribution and explanation justification because when I have a group talk with the teachers or my whole class, I don't really talk because I get really shy and scared, and I feel like if I say something, I might say the wrong thing or I can't say this because someone already said that, and explanation justification because when we're writing a paragraph about what we've learned so far, sometimes I would just like go straight ahead and say, oh, we just learned about modeling, but I won't really tell what modeling really is. So, yeah.
Thank you. Jonas or Quinn, would you like to respond to this one?
Well, with just me personally, one, I'd stink that I'd go away from a school with this awesome program. But also, I feel like I take with me just how to make learning personalized. Like at this school, you've learned, or with this program, you can easily adapt everything to your own unique needs and allow yourself to learn it like that. And I feel like not to the full extent, but you can still take part of that with you, with the cognitive skills and everything you've learned, and allow these works at other schools, these projects to fit towards you, even if it's to a lesser extent. And I feel like that's an important skill in life.
Thank you. And Quinn, would you take anything with you?
Probably all the skills I've learned this year. I would take all those with me, just knowing that they've helped me be successful through this year. I would try to use them every other year so I can stay successful.
Awesome. Thank you guys all for that. All right, we're going to dive into some of the audience questions. We have audience questions coming on a range of different things, from what your class looks like what is the physical space in the classroom, to how you know you're ready to move on with different skills or playlists. I'm going to start off with the space question. So can you describe what the physical environment in your classroom looks like, and answer the question of what kind of learning spaces do you like for different parts of the day? So starting off with this, you might want to start off with, does your class look like a traditional classroom in the sense there's desks, there's student desks, and you're always sitting in rows with other students, or does it look a little bit different? And describing what it looks like. Either way is fine. I'm sure some of your schools look more traditional and some of them look a little bit different. All right, we'll start off with Dupa.
Well, my classroom, it's like not row to row to row, but it's like squares, like two desks or one desk, just one desk, or sometimes there's two desks combined. Sometimes um sometimes we switch it. Sometimes we switch it around so we could try new things and see and feel how, like, if we like it this way or if we like it that way, because the teacher wants us to be comfortable from where we are sitting.
Thank you.
In my classroom, it's the same thing as Sherlyn. There are like two tables combined to each other, and it's like a square. And there are like a lot of motivational posters in my classrooms because, like, when we do POP or take a test, there will be a testing area, and then that's where the motivational posters will be at. So we know that if we fail, it's okay because we still can study for it. We have the playlist to study for it, and we can do it. And no matter what happens, at least we tried. And my English classroom is like a library, and in my math and science classroom, it's really like full of books, but then at the same time, it's full of books about math and science. Yeah.
Thank you. Quinn and Jonas, would either one of you like to talk a little bit about what your classrooms look like?
Sure. Give me. Quinn, do you mind going real fast? I've got my little sister pandering on my door.
Yeah. My classroom looks, well, they're all different. Some are lined up in rows, then we have some that have 4 tables together, and some will just be all over the place, like it rows from side to side instead of just straight rows.
Okay. Thank you. And Jonas, can you close us off?
Basically, our classrooms, we just have little clumps of tables scattered around the room, and then one little area for teachers' desks. And I think a unique bit for all classrooms that they're personalized, not just for the subject, but for the teacher, that the teacher can really see how they like to express their learning patterns throughout their classroom and how they place it. And I feel like that just really helps you when you do projects for the teacher and stuff like that.
Thank you. And touching on this from my viewpoint as well, guys, and for audience members, so some of the schools in Basecamp are open. We have open floor plan schools. We have traditional school buildings. It runs the gambit, and people use the space that they have in unique ways, depending on what the school's ready for and depending on systems that work well for their students. I'm going to dive into another question. The next question that I'm going to go for is, how do you know? We're going to first talk about this within a project for the skills themselves, and then we're going to talk about this for a focus area too in the playlist. So for the project, how do you know how you're doing on the project? Like, how do you know if you're doing well, if you need more help? How do you know when you've gotten a good score on a skill or if you need to work on it more?
It's fine. They could go if they want.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, basically, you just do the project, and you can see if you're having trouble in certain areas. But one thing the teachers do, which is interesting, they give you, it's graded by numbers. That was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it goes to 8. I don't know exactly. But they give you exactly what the requirements is for each number level. So if you want to get a good grade, it says like you have to analyze this, this, and this. You have to talk about this, maintain eye contact. So it shows you these skills and shows you what you want to do to get a good grade. So it literally just gives you the guidelines, and you just have to make sure you follow them. And I think that's just a really cool feature.
Thank you, Jonas. And touching upon that point, all of the projects are scored using the cognitive skill rubric. Our rubric was developed in partnership with Stanford University's SCALED program and is based off some prior work from the Buck Institute. And realistically, because that rubric is used in every single project, in every single class throughout a student's experience at one of our partner schools, students really start to internalize what are the different levels of oral presentation. What is its eye contact? As you get much further, it's pronunciation, it's posture, it's all of the different pieces, and how can they grow in them. And we found that our students really internalize the different levels of that rubric and how to make progress through it. Lady Zedupa, would you like to follow up on that question?
Can you
how do you know how you're doing on the skills in a project or on the steps in a project? Like, I'm really asking, what feedback are you getting from teachers? Do teachers talk in person? Do they give you feedback through the PLP? How does that whole system work?
Well, right now I think it's in English. That one day my class, we wrote a story of our own mythical creature or our own mythical story, and what we do is the teacher gives us some feedback, and she says, like, you could spell this correctly, but like not in a rude way, like in a positive way. So and then once we fix that, we go back to her. She gives us a little more what we could do better. Then once we fixed it, we're proud of ourselves after what we have finished and what we have changed. And you believe that that you are gonna get a good grade, a passing grade on that class, and then you feel proud of yourself and you feel um, um, proud of the teacher because she gave you all those ideas of how to fix your mistakes.
Thank you. Um, so I'm hearing that there's lots of ways for the teacher to give feedback. A lot of the project documents are Google documents of different kinds, so often teachers will leave comments directly there. Through the PLP itself, as Jonas was alluding, you can give a score on the different skills during a project. You don't have to wait until the end. So if students do a practice presentation, they can get a score for how they're doing so far in oral presentation. And finally, a teacher can also mark a student on or off track in a given step of a project, and a student can mark themselves on or off track as well. So there's lots of different back and forth going on. Do you have a follow-up on that one?
Yeah, I would, as Jonas and you added on, I do agree to Jonas. In to add on a little more is that what we do, the teacher does, because in the practice, like she gives us a fake score, and then we're like, okay, so we know what we could do better, and we know what we can improve, and we know the things that we did bad. Those are the things that you could do better. Because as they always say, it's better to learn from your mistakes, but it's also good to have a practice run up so you know how it is going to be and how you think you're going to get a passing grade or not.
Perfect. Thank you. My next question for you guys is similar to that, but with focus areas. So how do you know when you're working on the focus areas, or when you look at the this year page of your PLP and you see everything for the whole year, how do you know what to work on?
Well,
I'm looking for your hands, guys, so I know which direction to go. Sorry. Okay, Jonas, start us off.
well, I think one thing is that you can just click there's a button on the PLP homepage, and it can take you to show every single assessment throughout the entire year. And you can just click on one. It shows you the resources to go in depth on that, and how you can, what you should take notes on, what you should look into to try and study this. So you can just look at all those, and that's one way. And also they have these things called practice assessments on every single one that you can click, and it's basically a shortened actual quiz, and it gives you the grade, what you get back for that, and you can review that and go, oh, I got this wrong on this section, so I should go back in there and study that more.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. The next question that I saw from the audience was around expeditions courses. So the expeditions program is a program at Summit where we help students have more real-life experiences integrated into their day-to-day classes, or throughout the course of the year. I don't think any of your three schools are doing the expeditions program. Am I correct about that? For students, really quickly, are you doing expeditions at any of your schools? Okay. I didn't think so. For audience members wondering about that, I would recommend looking at some of the webinars that are saved to the Basecamp website. I will send out a link after we conclude today's session where we talk a little bit more about what that program looks like at Summit. To conclude, and we are into the last minute of our session, kids, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to respond to some of my questions and some of the audience questions. And I want to end with a piece of advice from you to our audience members. So either talking to actually we'll go one way or the other. Let's say talking to a student. If you're talking to a student who is going to do this program at their school next year, what is the one piece of advice that you would give?
The piece of advice that I would give someone is, well, I think, like, I always say, like, well, I don't always say it, but I say it to some people. I'm like, it's better to share your knowledge than owning it, because right now, like, I tutor other kids. I show them what I learned and different ways to do it, and I really do like helping them because it like brings me joy. And some advice that I would give you is like not to give up. Always learn new ways to do it. Take notes. Always review your notes. Check it twice. And if you're doing your assessment, at least like take 10 minutes at least or more, and check your answers twice. So then you know that you are sure with what you've got.
Thank you. Other pieces of advice?
Um, if you do this program, I'd stick in it because it can benefit you very much. It can benefit you more than regular classes can, and it's it makes you be um, self-centered, and it helps you out more.
Thank you, Quinn. And Jonas?
I think you really gotta. I'd give a student that you have to personalize it for you. Don't just follow the guidelines. If you have a passion, you have a project, you have a skill, you have an assessment that you are focused on, go in depth, go the mile, get more information, and just follow your passion and just make it work for you. Don't feel stressed. Don't feel discouraged. Just keep pushing forward and have fun.
Thank you. And to round us out,
One more thing is, as Jonas was saying, yeah, you should never give up. Like, always go for it. If you think you're ready, you should do it.
and Ishni, what advice would you give to students for next year?
I would say to be prepared, and the POP, it will help you because it's really like it's like a game, but then a really slow game because you could take your time on it, and it's like some people that I know, they will be like, oh, I learned this in 5th grade, so I'm going to take it right away. But then I would take my time on it because you have the playlist to go through. And if you know some of these things, look at the other things that you don't know. And then the playlist will help you out a lot. And the diagnostic will show you how much you've learned further while you've been studying the playlist. Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank the four of you, or I thank the four of you very much for taking some time with us this afternoon. And we're getting thank yous from the audience as well. So we really appreciate it. It was wonderful to chat with you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.